and welcome to the great gathering of the bodacious, the ginseng, the brotherhood, the part 2, round 1, round review. Today we are going to be looking at all the matches from this last round, breaking them down, and talking about some strategy. And yeah, the idea is to be doing this with every round of this tournament. And today I have Gyatso, my fellow host of this tournament, with me. Say hello, Gyatso.
Hello, everyone. It's been interesting to see this round 1 and see the matches. It's I think it's very clear that there are a lot of new players, and that's kind of also what this tournament is about. Really testing the game and with the new rules. Ginseng got an almost completely different rule set not so long time ago, and now it's kind of really being tested throughout this tournament, and it just means there are a lot of new players, and that's kind of very clear in this round 1.
Yeah, totally. Not only are we testing the new rules here, but we're testing new players.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome that people are down for joining the tournament, even though they're not completely like feeling safe with the game or whatever. It's just a very cool way to learn the game and to learn some different strategies.
So first we have Sparked versus Ender here, correct?
Yes, we have the first move from Ender. It's that
Ginseng out.
move.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, a usual opener would be to either move the koi fish or the bison, so a player has the possibility of developing the lotus whenever they want to. So this is kind of an unusual opener, but it does make sense in that way that later on they would be able to use the ginseng to jump the lotus with,
Right.
with the ginseng being in that position.
Then Sparked has set up his win.
Yeah, this is a very quick win, and here it's quite interesting how Spark uses Ender's Ginseng to set up his own win.
I love that Sparked forces Ender to move that Ginseng, therefore forcing him not to be able to develop his lotus like he should be doing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Ender could have taken their koi instead and bringing that forward to kind of block that spot where the lotus could jump to, and in that way they would both block the lotus jump and blocking Spark from winning that in that move, but at the same time they would kind of be making an opening for their lotus to jump out.
Then Ender's response is just to back up the Ginseng, which Sparked does not have a problem with. Lotus is in a, what did you call it?
Shengli is from now on the new term I'm going to use when it's checkmate. It means victory in Chinese, and yes, it sounds stupid, but it's more original than checkmate. So let's go.
It'll catch on, I promise, definitely.
Yeah, I hope. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, there's really nothing Ender could do about that. A last stage attempt to do some development there, but it is not enough. So there is the Lotus push in the win, and GG on that. Noble versus Turtle.
I'm interested to see Turtle in like how they will be doing in this tournament, because Turtle is definitely one of the better Ginseng 2.0 players. Recently, I had a match with them where they won, and our match continued up until 50 moves.
Oh my gosh, that is a lot for Ginseng.
Well, yeah, especially Ginseng being as young, Ginseng 2.0 being as young as it is right now. But as soon as players really catch, the rules and the strategical parts, I think it's going to be more likely that games end up around 30 or 40 moves.
I think it's the fact that now, with the new rule set, original benders can use their abilities without having the Lotus out. And I've noticed this come up in a tournament game we might be looking at later in the stream, where these two people are having like a 30 move match, just because they both have their lotuses put away and they're just pushing each other around with their original benders. Okay, but let's get into this game. First move from turtl, classic bison push. Noble puts the orchid far out there.
Yeah.
And I think you were saying earlier this would be a much stronger move if it was in line with the ginseng.
Correct. And this is because this is of two reasons, mainly. Reason one being that when both lotuses are outside temples and capturing can occur, then the orchid is, very close to enemy territory, but is still protected by the ginseng, so it can impose a large threat. And the other major reason is that exactly spot 4.0 is, and on the other side of the board, minus 4.0, is a very typical spot that the ginseng would kind of end up in, because it's a very classic line to set up for, the lotus. It's a very classic line to set up for the lotus to jump. So kind of just putting that orchid there would also be blocking the lotus from being able to get to that spot in later on in the game.
Turtle gets the lotus out.
And here we see the advantage of using the bison opener, because when you open with the bison and push a tile in a specific direction, it becomes possible for the lotus to make multiple jumps just after you move the bison once. So it's kind of a very strong opener if you want to advance your lotus quickly.
Turtle is bringing the badge roll out, likely to do some lotus hops with it, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Noble moves the wheel around. It's just kind of shimmying around there. Maybe it's trying to protect the orchid so it can advance. And then I was correct with the badge roll hop there.
Yeah.
Turtle. And is that another, what was it, Sheng Li?
Yeah, it is. No, actually not. Sorry, it's not. Because, so on the next move, Noble brings up their lion turtle. The ability of the lion turtle is that it denies effects around itself. So if they had put their lion turtle, instead of putting it at space 0.-1, if they put it on space -1.0, if that makes sense,
yeah.
Then it would block it would block abilities around it, meaning that neither the bison would be able to push it and the Bashimul wouldn't be able to make the lotus jump over it. So obviously then the turtle would just need 2 moves or 1 extra move to make it shingly, and then it's game over. But it's just to say that there was the possibility of delaying that win by 1 move.
Right. Yeah. All right. GG on that. I'm just gonna see how the Rellius versus Anonymous game is going. Oh yeah. Okay. This game has not yet been completed, but it's at move 35.
I haven't looked at unfinished games yet at all, actually.
Yeah, I just the plan wasn't to look at them in this stream, but I just wanted to.
Yeah.
I wanted to briefly touch on this one just because it's getting very interesting.
Yeah, sure.
We have bison pushes from the beginning on both sides, lotus rushes from both sides. They're kind of just copying each other. Lion turtles out, dragons out.
So I would like to mention here, interesting is there have been a lot of or multiple people have been asking me about the dragon's ability, and is it even that strong? And I love to see it actually being used here, because I see it as one of it's a very strong piece for attacking purposes, because usually people will line up their tiles so their opponent cannot capture them, right?
Yeah.
But also they want to advance their tiles, meaning that I would like to put my tiles as far as I can without my opponent being able to capture them. And since all tiles basically have up to 5 movement, it makes sense to, have that in mind when you advance your tiles. So in this specific scenario, Anonymous has set up their tiles so the Lotus or Rellius's Lion Turtle cannot reach them, right?
Right.
But Anonymous, on the other hand, by bringing up their dragon to that specific space, helps gives the Bison and their Lion Turtle the opportunity of actually reaching Rellius's Lion Turtle.
Ginseng protecting the Lotus, Lion Turtle retreating. There's the Bison using the dragon ability to do one big capture.
Yeah, I like to see that. And it's a very strong move because the Lion Turtle is definitely one of the strongest tiles in the game. So you would always want to kind of capture that as one of the first tiles.
Although the Lotus is still able to hop over that now, which he does choose to do.
Oh, sorry. I've been doing the names wrong the whole time. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought you were, but I didn't bother to correct because I thought I was just.
Yeah, I first realized that now.
Yeah, it's Rellius host, anonymous guest. Then we have Koi's being brought in from both players. Ginseng from Rellius for some protection. Another Ginseng from Anonymous, making a little bit of a Ginseng fortress.
Yeah.
Push, Bison push. That is very interesting. A Badgermole swap, bringing the Sky Bison right into the thick of Rellius' defense.
Yeah, this is a very strong move because the Bison is one of, the good tiles to help advance the Lotus. And here Rellius makes that Badger flip and flips the Bison directly into being trapped by their Koi. So now their Bison, Anonymous's Bison cannot move.
It's like bringing it right into a spider web.
Yeah. That's what it's called.
And then another Badgermole flip from Anonymous. Boy, it's freezing everything. I'm really not sure why there hasn't been as much capturing. A lot of things have been able to capture but aren't doing it. A Lotus capture, it's about time. 16G, it looks really bad for Anonymous. Or sorry, for Rellius. For
Rellius. But this is what I love in Ginseng 2.0 because even though once Lotus is captured, it doesn't mean GG. And that's that's kind of how Ginseng 1.0 worked. If you captured your opponent's Lotus, it was basically GG, but it's not like that at all in 2.0. So it's going to be interesting to see how this game develops further in. So I want to say in this scenario here, Anonymous capturing Rellius's Lotus is not necessarily good for Anonymous's own play, because it means that now capturing cannot occur. This means that Rellius, he can set up tiles as he wants to, and he doesn't have to be afraid of losing more tiles. So he can also, use a lot of time to just block Anonymous from winning, and at the same time waiting for a good opener to get their Lotus out.
Totally. Orchid shift, Bison push. Orchid goes right back. Bison push again. Orchid goes right back.
Oh wow. That's why they have 35 moves.
Yeah, they just keep going. Round. This game is like long, but it did not need to be long.
Yeah. Rellius gives up though and decides to move the Orchid instead.
That's so ridiculous. The Bison pushes, Will goes right back. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then a Bison push, sure, might as well. They're just trying to make some room for that Lotus, and Anonymous won't let it happen.
Yeah, there's some Bison war going on here.
They're just pushing each other around. How long does the pushing go on? Just keeps going.
Yeah.
They're refusing to play the game.
Yeah, Well, I want to say that seeing the bison being used this much in this specific game, I'm happy that we changed it from, so it's only able to push one space.
Yeah, totally. Oh, we have a tile swap. That's interesting.
This is a very good swap in my opinion, because the Lion Turtle is so powerful, and if Rellius places it at the correct spot, it would mean they could, potentially create a Shangli, and Anonymous could not do anything about it because, the Lion Turtle would deny
They can
abilities
just
around anyway.
finally get that bison to shut up. Like, no
Yeah,
more pushing.
exactly. Yeah.
And then the wheel goes down. Some wheel shifting. Orchid brought down. That's it. Man.
Yeah.
So we end with Rellius shifting their chain of movement for the Lotus, and Anonymous just getting ready to. I'm really confused on why Anonymous doesn't just like put a tile, any tile at -1/0, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it
know.
will be interesting to see how the game advances.
Next finished game is, I never know how to say that name. Awyrlas. I'll just call him Awi.
Yeah, that's good. Let's do that.
Yeah, they're both kind of just independently developing their Lotuses.
Yeah.
Lotus is out. Lotus is also out. Koi getting ready to shift the Lotus's perspective. Bison in play. That's a cool Bison move, the way it goes out and then also moves the Ginseng back, so the Ginseng is protecting it, but still kind of
that's actually true.
back.
Yeah.
Wheel being boldly brought pretty far in, which is Avatar's great undoing, bringing that wheel there.
Yeah.
So really, it was just, they just didn't see it.
They just didn't see it, and this is the kind of mistakes that I think will be very typical in the beginning, of this tournament, because this is a typical move one would make if they forget to have focus on the opponent's, possibilities of jumping the Lotus. And it can just be, a distraction, or things were getting a bit quick. And AvatarSimon is also writing in the chat, how did I miss that? So it's very obvious, like they would just make that move and give them the win, obviously.
Right.
But I think further into the tournament, we'll see that this stuff just doesn't happen, because people will be more aware that, all right, I have to be, cautious about my opponent jumping the Lotus over my own tiles, because that is definitely a thing.
We have xemmyQ versus Rodaku. This is a 5-move game. Very fast games here in the beginning of the tournament.
Yeah.
Not really opening up any opportunities for putting their Lotus out, though, which is probably going to be fighting them later.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible to just kind of neglect the Lotus and then just develop the other tiles, as long as one is focused on kind of blocking their opponent from winning. So they could definitely do that. At some point they would need to make that Lotus jump, though.
Bison ready for that final push. Wheel doing something. And yeah, there's the Bison push.
Yeah. So this game is, it's very obvious here that xemmyQ might be new to Ginseng Pai Sho, and is one of the people who joined the tournament to learn the game. And it's going to be interesting to see how they develop their skills during the tournament. And I definitely think we'll see different plays from, some of their last games in the tournament.
Totally. And that's what I love about the fact that it's a round robin style is that everyone will get opportunities to play multiple games, so everyone will get the opportunity to kind of try and perfect how they play the game. Okay, Dadlife versus Adder. Lion Turtle ready to.
Yeah, this is a very strong move from Adder. Because right now Adder has their Lotus out, but Dadlife does not. So, you know, Adder putting their Lion Turtle there is only creating a threat towards Dadlife, and Adder's Lion Turtle is not threatened at all because, you know, Dadlife has to move their Lotus out for capturing to happen, and when they do that, then Adder has the next move, right? So Adder will have the first capture.
It's absolutely insane because there's only one place Dadlife can move where they won't get captured by that Lion Turtle, and they don't really want to put the Lotus there as much as they want to put it in any of the other places where the Lion Turtle's covering.
Yeah.
So Dadlife opts to just do some Ginseng development. Oh, and also making it so they can put that Lotus out farther on that side, so making it more favorable to go out that direction.
Yeah, and at the same time protecting their own Lion Turtle from being captured.
Right.
This is a very good move from Dadlife because if they bring out their Lotus in a position where it's protected, that's nice. But at the same time, when they bring out their Lotus and Adder will make that first capture if he will, then he cannot capture Dadlife Lion Turtle. And with the Lion Turtle being one of the strongest tiles of the game, it makes very much sense that Dadlife would protect that tile.
This is again a similarly strong move.
Yeah.
And it can capture almost every place that Lotus can go. 2, 3, 4, 5. Except for right there. Finally, the Lotus is out on Dadlife's side. Oh, it was a boosted Badgermal.
Yeah, this is a very cool move. I actually haven't seen this, like the Dragon Badgermal combo being used like this before. I've never thought about that. That's very strong.
That is insane.
Yeah.
And it's cool because they set it up with the Ginseng like a few moves back.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 moves back. That's so cool that Adder is aware of his plan, like that far ahead.
Yeah. For anyone watching and who might be watching this later on, Adder was in the tournament final of the last Ginseng tournament. That was Ginseng 1.0. But I definitely expect to see some good plays from Adder in this tournament as well, and also as we've seen in this game already.
Totally, yeah.
Dadlife brings up their Lion Turtle.
Which is actually setting up for a win.
Yeah, it actually is. Maybe they're just kind of saying, "Oh, I can't win, so doesn't matter anyway."
But Adder wins on his own terms.
Yeah. Nice. GG.
Aosia versus JadeDragonWolf. A 3-move game.
Yeah, that might be for defensive measures, yeah.
Lotus is out with the Sky Bison ready to push it. Oh, with the classic mistake of thinking that the Koi stops the Lotus from being pushed, which I made I think a couple of days ago. Let's look at our game real quick, just because this is the next one down the list. And
yeah, sure.
It feels like it's kind of descended into a little bit of insanity here. We both have the most random placement of our tiles. They're just kind of scattered everywhere. And at this point, any development I was trying to do is sort of out the window, so I'm sort of just trying to scramble to get my Lotus up. And I'm guessing you have some sort of plan. I guess we shouldn't talk about it much because it's still happening.
Well, we can do that. I don't care at all. Do you want to take it move by move?
Sure, yeah, we can. I was just basic like that and did a Bison push.
Yeah.
You with the Koi.
Yeah. I like to take out the Koi or the Lion Turtle, advance those as one of the first tiles, because they're really good to kind of block the opponent from winning. So those will usually be the tiles that I want to promote as some of the first tiles.
Gotcha. I put my Lotus right out there.
Oh.
You with the lion turtle down, ready to capture.
Yeah, except that I can't capture before, I get my own Lotus out.
Right. So I have the sort of the upper hand on that, although you can still capture with your koi. It's like a chess capture battle ready to happen.
Yeah.
And then I've been toying around with this badger mole flip Lotus thingy, which I mostly just do so that I can get the Lotus ready to go into the red garden, because I prefer it there with the bison.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like that, the badger mole and bison are strong in very different ways and also have weak points. The badger mole is strong because, you can set up a tile, you can advance one tile and then, or advance the badger mole and then just make another tile jump over it directly. But it does take the badger mole has only 5 movements, so in some cases it will be hard to kind of use it in the way you want to, needing it to move maybe multiple times to make that badger flip.
Right.
Where the bison can kind of just come from any direction and just move a tile.
And you do some ginseng protection, very smart. Making me lose the upper hand there. And also, not only am I losing the upper hand, but you're like seriously gaining a huge advantage. And then I'm attempting to do some secret agent wheel action.
Yeah, I very much like this move from you. You're blocking the protection from the ginseng to the lotus. So kind of right now you're setting up a fork. I have to do something about my lotus, otherwise you're going to capture that.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah. So yeah, I bring in the bison there, and
This is a very strong move.
Push the koi. The smart part of this move is that I protect the lotus without having to move a ginseng tile, because I protect it by blocking your path to it, and at the same time protecting my bison.
Yeah, it's like technically not using the ginseng to protect, but also using it without having to move it. Pretty fancy stuff. And then I bring my dragon up. I think I was hoping to get some tile boosts. I'm not super sure though. Wheel hop, ready to do some capturing. Ginseng starting to protect a little bit more than just the wheel. And then you have your little ginseng fortress, which makes me want to... Not fortress. What do we call it?
Yeah, we can call it fortress. That makes sense.
Yeah. Which makes me want to strangle something. It is... so no. My ginseng protecting more. You're just gonna flip-flop your way to victory there. So I decided I need to take some rash action. Oh, but then I forgot to protect.
This is a very strong move from you, and I expect to see like this kind of move being used a lot more when people get used to the game. But with the ginseng from afar protecting the lion turtle, so you can advance that lion turtle into enemy territory and set up for a capture, but I can't capture your tile at all.
It would have been smarter maybe for me to move my dragon first though, so that the ginseng couldn't have been captured.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. So the ginsengs would be protecting one another.
And then I opted to capture your lion turtle before my lion turtle captured your bison, which makes sense because you could have captured my lotus. So that's no bueno.
Yeah, and lion turtle being one of the strongest tiles definitely makes sense that you capture that instead of some of the other tiles at the other end.
Right.
So, and I see myself necessary, to capture your lion turtle now, using a whole move on that, instead of, if that lion turtle wasn't placed there, I would definitely just have kind of trying to create something to develop my lotus, but it kind of delays my play that your lion turtle is placed there.
Then I'm just kind of deciding it's just time for a bum rush to get that lotus up. And finally, that wheel is captured. It's about time for it to be dead. I bring in tiles just to support the lotus. Trap your bison. Wheel capture. The wheel's having too much fun. Capture the wheel. This is an interesting game because the lotuses are staying in throughout the entire thing. So it's just an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah, for sure.
Like usually when there's like, because we kind of had a breakdown moment where the original plans sort of are out the window, but usually during a breakdown moment in the other games, it means a lotus being captured, and it means some using abilities to regroup without bringing the lotus out. But in this case, the breakdown included both lotuses, so we're just still kind of capturing around.
Yeah.
And then we're caught up. You bring your orchid in closer. I bring my orchid in closer, and then we're caught up.
Boom.
Morbius versus Pippinpaddleopsicopolis. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, that's my brother.
Nice. How long has your brother been playing Ginseng?
Well, he actually he's been in the process of developing it as well. So.
Oh wow.
But he hasn't been very active with Ginseng later on. It was more in 2019 when we first got, when I first got the idea about Ginseng, we started talking about it and tried some different stuff out. And then, he doesn't play much online, but we play actually a lot in person. So almost every time we meet, we take a game of Ginseng. Yeah, so I expect to see him win at least some games for sure.
That's awesome. Sadly, though, he was put up against Morbius. Oh, but he actually won this one. Spoilers.
Yeah.
That's cool. And Morbius is has a good amount of experience with this game too.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he does. So it's kind of a crazy group with you and me and Morbius and Pippinpaddleopsicopolis and
oh gosh.
yeah, and the two others I can remember right now.
I so easily could have just ignored the randomized teams and put myself somewhere else, but no, I had to put myself with you legends.
Yes, you are a legend yourself.
Let's go. Okay, same bison fish from both sides. That's a pretty cool badger mole koi rush there.
Yeah.
Blocks off some movement, but that's okay. It's easily fixable. Just gets the koi ready to go.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting move from Pip because usually when, in that early game when you bring some of your original benders forward, it kind of blocks off movement for the other benders to advance, and you kind of just forget about them until mid or late game.
Right.
But with Pip using this basher flip with the koi, he kind of, they maintain that momentum for multiple of the benders and kind of advance more of them at the same time. It's a very strong move with, if you're more focused on the mid and late game.
Koi brought forward, ready to do some damage there. And what's really
some major ginseng lotus jump.
Yeah, major lotus jump with the ginseng protecting. Nice ginseng preemptive protection.
Yeah.
Wheel is brought down though, making them but then another ginseng protection. But koi. Yikes. They've sandwiched the ginsengs, making them useless.
Yeah.
And giving Morbius. So Morbius has given himself the first opportunity to capture once that lotus is out, really.
Yeah. And this is, watching this protection block from Morbius, it just shows that Morbius is very aware of the 2.0 rules, how the game works, and that the Ginseng tile is a powerful tile. And Morbius very well knows that they need to block that protection ability, because if they don't, then the Lotus will just jump to the middle of the board, be right there, and cannot be captured. And that's just way too strong.
Absolutely, yeah. And then...
Sorry, and I would just like to say at the same time, it also slows down Pip, because if Pip then, anyway would bring the Lotus to the middle of the board, obviously Morbius would just capture the Lotus right away. So they have to do something about it. They can't move the Lotus yet.
And I like the Badgermole counter a lot.
Yeah.
It's doing the spider web like earlier.
Yeah.
Pulling it right into the web. Dragon brought out, sure. Lotus put into place. Oh, and a dragon capture right on that koi. 1, 2, 3, 4. But that Badgermole, or then the Bison push. But the Badgermole also could have done it.
Morbius maybe should have continued with his strategy of blocking the protection ability. So by bringing up their Bison or their Lion Turtle to block that protection ability, because Pip would definitely just have continued trying to create an opportunity for a long jump. It was very clear that that was the purpose for them in this game. With that being said, when the Lotus was jumped all the way there, Morbius could have brought up their Lion Turtle again to that very crucial spot, minus 1.0, and kind of neglecting the abilities of the Bison and the Badgermole, so it would kind of delay a win from Pip.
Yeah, you're right. That totally would have been a block that could have happened. And that was probably like one of the only ways to actually block that. So
yeah, it would be.
Morbius likely thought it was a checkmate and figured they'd just do one last capture.
Yeah, that might be actually.
Captain versus Metagross, an 8-move game. Orchid way out there, okay, ready to make that. They get their Lotus out there ready for a first capture.
Yeah.
Bison's like, I'm not gonna have any of that. Wheel is setting up some insane Lotus movement. Bison's just really pushing stuff around right now. He's a really pushy Bison, real bossy Bison in this game.
Yeah, this specific Bison move, it's it's a good move in the sense that you slow, Captain is slowing down meta, because they can't jump their Lotus as far. But it would have been an even stronger move if Captain brought their Bison to the spot 4.0 from host's view, and then pushed the wheel one space diagonal, because then Captain would both be protecting their own Bison with the Ginseng and slowing down the Lotus even further, because they wouldn't even be able to jump over the Lion Turtle, because
Totally.
the wheel would be at that spot.
That is such a good point, yeah. And because the Bison did not cover the spot, the Lotus, of course, takes it.
Yep.
And so this is setting up Metagross so that they will have the first capture at this point in time. This is really tricky for Captain at this point, because now Metagross has 2 different directions for the Lotus to go, and it's getting hard to block both. Lotus is out. I'm gonna guess that Metagross takes the opportunity to capture something. Oh, right, captured right at the Lotus. The Lotus was out, but was not protected. Lotus just creeping a little bit farther, a little bit closer. Another Bison push. Oh, but it pushes it right into the place where it can win.
Boom.
So a better Bison push likely would have been a more diagonal approach. Although, yeah, that would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, the diagonal push would have slowed Metagross much more. For sure.
Okay. Well,
GG.
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 GG!
Yes, this is the important parts of the streams. Just saying weird stuff.
It keeps people awake. Everyone's like nodding off. Oh, what the heck? They're screaming stuff. What's going on?
Yeah. That's how it works. Yep.
Now we've got a 5-move game between Crazy Pie Guy versus Natella. Crazy Pie Guy is a friend of mine, and I think this is his first tournament. Not completely sure on that, but I think it is. Actually taught him how to play Ginseng like a few days before the tournament even started. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but he's been training up along with his brother Sparked. They've been training a lot.
Crazy Pie Guy and Sparked are brothers. Awesome.
Yes, they are. Orchid ready to capture with the upper hand in that whenever Pie Guy moves the Lotus out, Natella is ready to capture a lot of
and at
pieces.
the same time, this is that crucial spot. Natella is bringing the Orchid to because it blocks the Lotus from jumping to that spot, but at the same time opposing a threat to capture a tile.
So a very important point in the game. And boom! Pie Guy brings the Lotus all the way to the exact center of the board. Natella pushes it. Pie Guy sets up the JadeDragonWolf flip-flop there. Ginseng goes in for protection, but it's a little late, and the Bison brings the Lotus right into the red garden. Beautiful.
Boom.
Boom.
Nice.
That's every completed game. Boom. That's every completed game thus far in the tournament.
It was interesting checking out, the game so far, and yeah, as mentioned a couple times now, it's going to be very interesting to see also how the different players develop through the tournament when they, really get a grip about the strategies and the rules and all that stuff.
Okay, well, you two people, thank you for joining us. And be ready for more The Great Gathering of the Bodacious, the Ginseng, the Brotherhood, the Part 2 content. We'll be reviewing matches, and they'll hopefully get more and more exciting to watch. This is a strong start. I'm excited for more. Tuning in, guys. See ya.